There are moments in the year that seem ordinary to most, yet they carry a deeper, almost invisible energy for those who are spiritually aware. July 17 is one of those days. It's not about astrology or numerology alone. It's about the unseen alignment of time, intention, and divine possibility. When we say a date holds power, we are not placing our faith in the calendar, but in the spiritual significance and symbolism that certain moments in time can carry. Think about how we honor birthdays, anniversaries, and sacred holidays, not because the date itself is magic, but because of the energy and intention we give it. July 17 is a day to pause, reflect, and become deeply intentional. It's a rare portal in time where your words and thoughts can be magnified by the very act of awareness. The moment you choose to speak a powerful affirmation on this day, not once, but twice, you are aligning with that energy in a conscious way. It's a small action with enormous potential, because you are meeting a sacred moment with sacred intention. When you believe that July 17 is meaningful, when you treat it as a spiritual appointment, you allow your mind, heart, and spirit to be fully open to what might unfold. And sometimes, that is all a miracle needs. A willing soul, a clear intention, and the right moment to arrive. July 17 is not just another day. It is an opportunity to engage with life in a more powerful, purposeful, and miraculous way. Intention is everything. It is the silent force behind every action, every word spoken, every thought that comes to life. Without intention, words are just noise and actions are empty. But when you infuse even the simplest act with purpose, it becomes powerful, it becomes sacred. When we talk about miracles, we're not just hoping for random blessings to fall into our lap. We are preparing ourselves to receive them, and that preparation starts with intention. On July 17, when you take a moment to pause and speak something meaningful into existence, you are not just talking. You are planting a seed. You are sending a message to the universe that says, I am ready, I am open, I am aligned. That intention, that inner commitment, creates a vibration. It shifts your mindset from passive waiting to active participation in your destiny. Think of how a farmer prepares the ground before planting. He doesn't just scatter seeds and walk away. He chooses the time. He prepares the soil. He nurtures it. That's what intention does to your soul. It prepares your inner landscape for what's to come. It tells your spirit to stay alert, to stay open. So when you speak your affirmation on July 17, and when you repeat it that second time, do it with full awareness. Let every word be soaked in meaning. Don't rush through it like a chore. Speak it like a prayer. Feel it vibrate through your chest. Visualize what you're asking for. See it happening. Let your mind, your body, and your soul all come into agreement. That agreement is the true power of intention. When your entire being is aligned with what you seek. Miracles don't just respond to random words. They respond to deep, heartfelt purpose. They come to those who are ready to receive, not just with their hands, but with their hearts wide open. Words are not just sounds that disappear into the air once spoken. Words carry weight. Words carry energy. Words carry creation. Since the beginning of time, the spoken word has had the power to build up or tear down, to bless or to curse, to bring healing or cause harm. Entire worlds have been shaped by what has been spoken. And in your personal life, whether you realize it or not, the words you speak shape your present reality and influence your future outcomes. That is why it's not just important what you say, but how, when, and why you say it. Speaking something aloud is an act of faith. It takes a thought that was once hidden and invisible and gives it life in the physical world. When you declare something out loud, especially with belief behind it, you are sending a powerful signal to your subconscious mind, to the universe, and to the energy all around you that says, this is my truth. This is what I accept. This is what I call in. On July 17, when you speak your affirmation twice, you're doing something far deeper than just repeating words. You are intentionally aligning yourself with divine timing and declaring that you are in agreement with the possibility of a miracle. The vibration of your voice, the tone of your belief, the sincerity of your heart. All of that becomes part of the frequency you're putting out into the world. The world responds to frequency. The spiritual realm responds to faith. And your words are the bridge between your inner desires and your outer reality. Many people speak casually, without thinking about what they're attracting with their words. They say things like, "I'll never change," "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I'm always unlucky," and then they wonder why their life continues to mirror those beliefs. But those who understand the true power of spoken words speak differently. They speak with intention, they speak with belief, and they speak from a place of knowing that their voice is a tool for transformation. On July 17, when you repeat your affirmation twice, do it with the awareness that you are activating a force. Speak slowly. Speak boldly. You are not just talking. You are creating. You are calling for something unseen to take shape. That is the miracle of words shape. They turn spirit into matter, thought into action, and hope into reality. Faith is not just something you talk about. It is something you live, something you breathe, something you anchor yourself to even when everything around you is uncertain. It is the invisible force that keeps you moving when logic tells you to stop, when circumstances say it's impossible, and when doubt whispers that nothing will change. Faith is the key that unlocks the door to miracles. Without it, even the most powerful words lose their strength. But with it, even the smallest whisper becomes a mighty declaration. When you say something with belief, real, rooted belief, you're not just hoping for the best. You are trusting that the unseen is more powerful than what is seen. Faith is what takes a simple affirmation and turns it into a spiritual command. It's not about how loudly you speak it, but how deeply you believe it. When you speak your chosen words on July 17, they won't mean much if you speak them with hesitation, doubt, or emptiness. But if you say them from a place of certainty, even if you don't yet see the outcome, even if the road is unclear, your faith will activate a response. Faith changes the atmosphere. It changes your energy. It changes how you carry yourself. It sends a signal not only to your spirit, but also to everything connected to your life, your relationships, your goals, your health, your opportunities. Faith says, "I may not know how, but I know it will." And that's where miracles begin. Not in the clarity of the process, but in the strength of your trust. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to see every step ahead. You only need to believe that something greater is working in your favor, that your words are not in vain, and that what you are calling in has already started to move toward you. That kind of faith doesn't wait until conditions are perfect. It shows up anyway. It speaks anyway. It repeats the words anyway, even if no one else believes, even if you've been disappointed before. Because faith doesn't rely on proof. It creates the proof. And once that inner belief is solid, the outer world starts to shift. So on July 17, speak your words with full faith. Not because you see the miracle already, but because you know it's on the way. Repetition is not about redundancy. It's about reinforcement. It's about taking an idea, a belief, a truth, and embedding it so deeply into your heart and mind that it becomes part of your identity. When you say something once, it's heard. When you say it twice, it's remembered. But when you say it consistently over and over with faith and emotion, it becomes a part of who you are. That is the power of repetition. It moves your affirmation from the surface of your thoughts into the foundation of your spirit. It trains your subconscious to accept what your heart believes and what your mouth declares. Repeating your affirmation twice on July 17 may seem like a small action, but in the spiritual world, it is deeply significant. The number 2 symbolizes agreement, alignment, and confirmation. When you say something twice, you are creating a rhythm, a resonance that amplifies your intention. You're not just speaking to the air, you're speaking to your future, your destiny, your miracle. You're repeating it to declare, "I believe it the first time, and I seal it the second." This act of saying it 2 times may feel simple, but simplicity is often the language of the divine. Just as a steady drip of water can carve stone over time, a repeated affirmation can cut through layers of doubt, fear, and resistance. Each time you say your words, you are clearing away disbelief and making space for belief. You're rewriting your internal story. You're reminding yourself of what is possible. People underestimate repetition because they look for dramatic change through dramatic action. But real transformation often comes through quiet, consistent effort. The things you do daily, the thoughts you repeat hourly, and the affirmations you whisper in silence. That's how the mind is trained. That's how the heart stays aligned. That's how the soul remains grounded in truth. So on July 17, when you repeat your words a second time, know that you are doing something powerful. You are not being redundant. You are being intentional. You are reinforcing your belief in what is coming. You are locking your faith into place, and you are telling the universe, this is real to me. This matters to me. I am ready. There are moments in life when everything seems still on the outside, yet something powerful is shifting within and around you. That's the nature of spiritual alignment. It often happens quietly, without grand announcements or visible signs. And yet, it is in those unseen shifts that the greatest miracles begin to unfold. On July 17, something significant occurs in the unseen realm. It is not just another date on the calendar. It is a moment where spiritual doors open a little wider, where the atmosphere is more responsive, where the soul can tune in more clearly to the divine frequency that's always present but not always accessed. Spiritual alignment is when your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and energy all come into agreement with a higher truth. It's when you're not just wishing for something to happen, but living in a state of readiness for it. And that alignment doesn't happen by accident. It takes stillness. It takes awareness. It takes choice. You have to choose to be present. You have to choose to release the noise, the doubt, the rush, and step into a space of quiet expectation. Because only when you are aligned can you truly receive. Just like a radio needs to be tuned to the right frequency to hear the broadcast clearly, your spirit must be tuned to the right frequency to hear what heaven is saying, to sense what the universe is preparing, to feel what your future is calling forth. When July 17 arrives, it's not about forcing anything. It's about coming into agreement with what is already moving toward you. It's about recognizing that there are spiritual windows of opportunity. Days when the veil is thinner, when the energy is more charged, and when your words carry more weight. When you pause on this day and speak your affirmation twice, you're doing more than just saying something. You're placing yourself in alignment with a sacred rhythm that exists beyond your understanding. It's not mystical hype. It's spiritual sensitivity. People of faith across centuries have always honored sacred moments. Whether through prayer, meditation, fasting, or stillness, they understood that timing and alignment matter. And in this moment, your alignment is an invitation. It says, I'm in tune. I'm available. I'm awake. And that's when spiritual forces can work most effectively, when you are not distracted, when you are not resistant, when you are not doubting, but when your whole being is saying yes to the miracle. July 17 carries this kind of alignment energy, not because the date itself is magic, but because of what it represents. An open doorway, a chance to center yourself, a moment to align with something bigger than you. And when you do, the miracle doesn't just find you. It flows through you. In a world that is constantly moving, loud, busy, demanding, stillness has become a rare and sacred act. We rush through life, racing from task to task, filling every quiet moment with noise, distraction, or obligation. But in doing so, we often miss the subtle whispers of guidance, the soft nudges of intuition, and the quiet presence of the divine. On a day like July 17, where spiritual energy is heightened and the soul is especially sensitive, taking the time to pause before speaking your intention becomes more than just preparation. It becomes a doorway to clarity. Before you speak your affirmation, you must first become still, not just externally, by turning off the devices, stepping away from the noise, or sitting in a quiet space, but internally. That means silencing the mental chatter, letting go of your doubts, releasing the need to control or analyze, and allowing yourself to just be. Because it is in stillness that you reconnect with yourself. It is in stillness that you become aware of what you truly desire, not just what the world tells you to want. Stillness brings you back to your center, where your heart and your spirit speak the loudest. When you approach this moment with presence, everything changes. You are not just repeating words. You are communing with the sacred. You are stepping into alignment with what your soul has been longing for. You are clearing the noise so that your voice can rise with clarity and purpose. That single moment of silence before you speak may feel small, but it is powerful. It's like drawing back the string of a bow before releasing an arrow. The silence gives strength to your words. It prepares your spirit to fully receive the magnitude of what you're about to declare. This intentional pause also signals reverence. It shows that you honor what you're doing, not as a ritual of routine, but as a moment of real connection. You're not just saying something to check off a box. You're speaking to the universe, to the Creator, to your higher self. And that deserves your full attention. That deserves presence. The kind of presence that turns a simple sentence into a sacred act. When July 17 comes, don't rush into the affirmation. Let your breath slow. Close your eyes if you must. Feel the ground beneath you. Listen for the silence. And from that place of stillness, speak your truth. Speak it with the weight of your awareness and the fullness of your heart. Because in that quiet moment, you're not just preparing to say something. You're preparing to receive something. Something greater than you can explain. Something your spirit has been waiting for. And it all begins in the stillness before the words. Miracles are not always loud. They don't always arrive with flashing lights or dramatic signs. Often, they begin quietly within you. They don't start outside in changed circumstances or sudden breakthroughs, but in the soft shift of your mindset, in the quiet decision to believe again, in the moment you choose to hope when everything around you says not to. That's the birthplace of every true miracle in the internal world. It's where the soil of faith is tilled, where the seeds of transformation are planted, where possibility begins to grow. Before anything can manifest outwardly, before the job offer comes, before the healing appears, before the door opens, the miracle must first be conceived in your spirit. You must feel it before you see it. You must believe it before you receive it. You must become it before it becomes part of your life. This is not just spiritual talk. This is the truth of creation. All things are born in the invisible before they take form in the visible. When you choose to speak life over your situation, especially on a sacred day like July 17, you are declaring that something has already shifted within. You are aligning with a future reality and calling it into the now. Even if nothing outside of you has changed yet, something inside of you has. And that is everything. Because the greatest battles are fought and won on the inside. The greatest breakthroughs begin when your mind stops resisting and your heart starts believing. People often wait for something outside of themselves to change before they feel worthy of believing. But the opposite is true. The moment you shift inside, the outside starts to respond. When your internal world becomes a space of faith, expectancy, and readiness, the external world begins to echo that vibration. That's how energy works. That's how faith works. That's how miracles unfold. You might not see the full picture yet. You might still have questions. You might still carry wounds or disappointments. But when you speak your affirmation and believe it, truly believe it, you are saying to yourself and to the universe self, I am not defined by what I see right now. I am defined by what I believe is possible. And that shift, even if small, is powerful. That's when the inner miracle begins. And once it begins, it starts to attract and shape everything else around you. So speak it. Believe it. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. Because once the miracle takes root in your heart, the world has no choice but to eventually reflect it. One of the greatest truths you can ever come to understand is this: you are worthy. Not because of what you have, not because of what you've achieved, not because of what others say about you, but simply because you exist. Because you are here, living, breathing, carrying dreams in your heart and hope in your soul. Too often, people disqualify themselves from miracles before they even ask for them. They believe they've made too many mistakes, missed too many chances, or waited too long. But worthiness is not earned by perfection. It is realized through acceptance. Acceptance of your divine identity, your sacred design, your innate value. You don't have to fix yourself to become worthy of a miracle. You only need to recognize that you were never unworthy to begin with. Somewhere along the journey of life, experiences, words, and rejections can cause people to question their value. They begin to think that good things are for others, not for them. That blessings have limits. That miracles happen, but always to someone else. That quiet belief, left unchallenged, becomes a wall. A wall between you and what's possible. A wall between you and what's already trying to reach you. But when you declare an affirmation, especially on a spiritually aligned day like July 17, you are breaking that wall brick by brick. You are rewriting the story that told you're not enough. You are standing in your truth and saying, I deserve to receive. Not because of ego or entitlement, but because you are a living, breathing reflection of divine creation. You were made with purpose. You were made with love. And every blessing that flows from the heavens is available to you, not someday, but now. The moment you believe you are worthy, you shift your energy. You stop begging and start receiving. You stop doubting and start allowing. Worthiness creates an open channel. It says, I'm no longer pushing miracles away with my disbelief. I'm welcoming them with open arms and an open heart. You are not here to live in lack, in shame, or in fear. You are here to experience the fullness of life. Healing, abundance, restoration, peace. And none of that requires perfection. It only requires permission, your permission to believe that you deserve it. So when you repeat your affirmation, do it with this understanding. You're not trying to convince the universe of anything. You're reminding yourself of what's always been true. You're standing in your divine identity and saying, yes, I am ready. Yes, I am worthy. And in that moment, something shifts, not just in the heavens, but within you. Because when you finally believe you are worthy of a miracle, the miracle no longer feels far away. It feels like it's already on its way home. There is something powerful that happens when you commit to consistency, not in grand gestures, not in loud declarations, but in quiet, intentional practices repeated over time. The act of repeating your affirmation on July 17 is not meant to be a one-time miracle trigger. It's meant to open a deeper path, a way of life where you continuously speak truth, claim blessings, and live with awareness of the spiritual current that flows through every moment. Miracles are not just about one special date. They are about cultivating a mindset that invites transformation daily and that only happens through consistent connection. Consistency is how roots grow deep. Just like a tree doesn't sprout tall and strong overnight, your inner growth and spiritual breakthroughs require steady nourishment. The repetition of affirmations, the quiet moments of belief, the repeated acts of faith, even when nothing seems to be changing on the surface, are the water and sunlight your spirit needs to flourish. Doing this once is powerful, but doing it regularly is transformational. You don't just invite a miracle into one day. You build a life that welcomes miracles every day. Many people speak powerful words once and then forget them. They say something hopeful but don't return to it. They touch faith briefly, but don't live in it. But those who understand the laws of faith and manifestation know that it's not about intensity. It's about consistency. You don't have to shout your dreams. You don't have to prove your worthiness. You only have to keep showing up, keep believing, keep speaking. That steady rhythm builds momentum. That consistency begins to reshape your internal world and the way you engage with the external one. Treat July 17 as a sacred starting point, not an ending. Let it be the day you mark your shift. The day you say to yourself, I will not just speak this once and walk away. I will carry this with me. I will build this into my life. Whether it becomes a morning ritual, a monthly intention, or a spiritual check-in, what matters is that you continue. You make the space. You keep showing up with belief. That faithfulness is noticed. That faithfulness is rewarded. Not because the universe plays favorites, but because you become the kind of person who doesn't just wish for miracles. You live ready for them. Repetition and consistency don't just convince the universe. They transform you. They mold your thoughts, train your energy, and align your life. And as that happens, miracles stop feeling like surprises. They start feeling like confirmations, evidence that your inner world and outer reality have finally come into agreement. And that's when everything begins to change quietly, consistently, miraculously,